There is a moment in every life when you decide to rise, to stand taller than your fear, to speak louder than your doubt, to chase the vision that sets your soul on fire. This is that moment. And here, we walk it together with stories that awaken, voices that inspire, and truths that set you free. This is Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where hope has a voice, and that voice is yours. And welcome to the show, everybody. We've got a great show for you today. Well, I know. I say that all the time. But you know what? I do. And the people that are here are just remarkable. And I'm very excited about the guests that we have today. And we'll introduce him as well as Brachelle. Brachelle is here in audio. She's going to be here and there she is now. Brachelle, how are you?
I'm doing very well. I was just looking at all of Matthew's stuff, and I'm very excited for this conversation. This is powerful stuff.
Oh, and I told him about Samuel.
Oh, very good, very good. Yes, let's link you two together.
Yeah, so I'm hopeful that Samuel, and we'll get into that
Awesome.
in a little bit. But you've just been reading about Michael's stuff or Matthew's stuff. Would you like to tell us about Matthew's stuff?
Yes. Well, first of all, go to mindaid.ca. Right off the bat, you see all these things, and there's a beautiful message that is simplified so beautifully. It says, MindAid helps people with mental illness in developing countries get access to basic mental health care. And although that we are more open to talking about these things with each other now, we realize that there is so many more branches of help than we think there are. And you're out here to kind of help people do that. Is that right?
That's my main goal. Yes, it is.
Perfect. Well, welcome to the show with us, Matthew. This is going to be a lot of fun.
And Matthew, I understand that you've gone through one of the reasons, and this is the cool thing about life. Are you ready? Here, I'm going to get philosophical on you here. This is one of the cool things about life, is that in order to experience life in all its totality and in its fullness, and to then turn around and achieve what we want to achieve, and to help people the way that we want to help them, oftentimes we have to go through our own challenges to get to that point of where we are in a position to be able to do that. And you, sir, have done that. Explain the challenges that you've gone through that now with the organization that you are working with to help other people understand. So tell us about your story a little bit.
Thanks so much. I'm from Canada. I lived in a small town on the East Coast on the ocean growing up in the 70s and 80s. I had an average childhood, pretty decent, no real complaints. I went off to university and I felt some things that are not right with the way I was sort of thinking, but this was the early 90s and I didn't know about mental illness. I knew about mental health and psychology, just not much, but I knew the words. I didn't know about depression, anxiety, OCD, bipolar. I'd heard schizophrenia once, probably in a movie, talking about a split personality, which does exist. There are multiple personalities, but that's not what schizophrenia is, which is what I was getting. So I told some friends, I'm sort of thinking these ways, and no one said, "Oh, you should probably get that checked out, Matthew. How long has it been happening for? Has it been for a long time? Go see a doctor." And although I did see a doctor in my first year, I was sort of low on energy. That was sort of my only symptoms. And he sent me for blood work. It came back fine and sort of sent me out the door. So that's how I went through university. And I had some symptoms that would creep up a bit, about one a year. And when the disease hit, it hit hard finally at the end of my schooling, just before I was about to graduate with an engineering degree. So the pain, so during university, I could still do a lot of things. I was getting mostly A's. I worked summer jobs. I paid my whole way through university. I never had to get a student loan. I bicycled across Canada during university. That was with a group called Tour de Canada. They go across Canada every year. That was a very big thing for me. That came out of nowhere. I never really thought of myself as an athlete. I dabbled in sports like lots of kids do. Played some golf, badminton, soccer, go for a run, go for a bike ride, but I had never trained for anything. And yeah, so that was a real breath of fresh air in my life, and it boosted my confidence to be able to say, yeah, I did this. It was eye-opening for people. Like, oh my gosh, you did what? you bicycled across Canada? And that was in 1992 when I did that. And since then, a lot more people have done that trip. It's almost commonplace. But yeah, that was I really enjoyed doing that. But when this disease hit, my life took a totally different turn, and I found myself just at my wit's end, desperately trying to save my life. And I didn't know when the pain would stop. One of my messages for people going through schizophrenia, probably other mental illness, is the pain can be severe in the beginning, but with some treatment, it can come down to more manageable levels, which will allow you to carry on for a lot longer than you thought. Navy SEALs are taught in their training that they are capable of 20 times more than they think they are. And I'm no Navy SEAL, but I feel I was tested in a similar way with just having to push myself to get through each day, each moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, I try not to go too long into the dark chapters because it was so decades, but I try to make it a bit more light than that. So, but I sort of have two audiences. One is people who don't know how bad mental illness can be. They've never experienced it. I do try to explain to them like how difficult it can be at its worst. But for the people going through that, I try to offer hope and tools and ways to get through it. So. Yeah.
And you remember me talking about a gentleman from Kenya? His name is Samuel. Well, he has checked in with us. And Rochelle, when you swallow, can you?
Yes.
Can you?
Yes, Samuel says, greetings, my friend, host, and Kevin Burchell. Say hi to my guest, Matthew Dickson, watching and listening from Kibera slums in Nairobi, Kenya, the largest second slums in the world. Thanks, team Kevin and Burchell, for this favorite program. And Samuel is helping feed 350 children. He now has 20 adults who are helping him do so, and is starting an education program out there. So working with so many kids and so many different personalities, this is a really, really good knowledge base for him to be able to listen to this with you.
And Samuel, I want you to make sure that you are listening to this, because one of the things that Matthew does, this is Matthew Dickson, is he works with mental health overseas. And the organization is called mindaid.ca. And so I really would love for you to, if you've got anybody that has, if you feel can benefit from this, I would love for them to be listening in. We're on a big screen TV there. And so you are being watched by a bunch of people in Kenya on a big screen TV. It is. He has added so much. Oh, and he's also sent us videos that every time Rochelle watches it, she cries.
Yep. Yeah, it does make me cry. And you probably feel this same impact, Matthew, with it doesn't just take one, but that domino effect, and realizing that one thing you decide to do that you know how to help people with, and then seeing the change and seeing the inspiration kind of grow from that is huge. And many of us do go through so many different forms of mental we just call, oh, well, I just have problems. I just have issues, like a lot of people say, oh, she just has a lot of problems. It's because there was so many things going on in my mind, and I struggled as a kid. And it makes me think, when you're first helping people, is there usually specific signs or symptoms of the same thing you went through that you were able to help them a little more with understanding?
Yeah, so I'm not, the only official certification I have is an engineering degree, and I have lived experience with schizophrenia. So I'm not a counselor or therapist or psychologist or anything like that. With my Mind Aid platform, it's more of a promotion of other charities doing the actual work. I try to let more people know about them because I know people would donate if they knew that they could donate. Most people don't think about mental health in developing countries. We couldn't even talk about mental health here until the last handful of years with the pandemic bringing it out into the open finally. So to answer your question about what you were asking about, like with me with schizophrenia, what other people might notice in the like symptoms they might notice that they could say, oh, well, maybe this is schizophrenia like Matthew got.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm in the 25% of people with schizophrenia who don't hallucinate. I never hallucinated. For those who do, the other 75%, those can be any of the five senses. Some hallucinations are actually, people find them pleasurable. They see pretty things in the sky, but for the most part, they're quite tormenting. People just voices sort of yelling at you all day long or seeing scary things. So that's a symptom. For me, my own experience, the first thing that I noticed was I was low on energy. The next year, I felt sort of more blunted emotionally. My emotions were starting to be affected, which is a huge part of the disease, just very bad, negative emotions. You can never be happy. One thing that happened in my third year of university was I felt like I was watching my life in front of me, sort of on a TV screen. I felt disconnected from it. I know on Zoom we can interact with each other, but when you're watching TV, you can't interact with the people on the screen. I just felt like I was watching more of a movie of my life in front of my life instead of actually being in the movie. I described it at the time as seeing things in 2 dimensions, not 3. It's just, I mean, I could still catch a ball. I could still operate in a 3D world like I was in, but it affected my vision. That's sort of a symptom. And with schizophrenia, you have disorganized thinking. So I don't know if that really affected me much in university, but when the disease hit hard at the end of school and in 1994, that's when all the symptoms came at once. And those are kind of symptoms. Another one is grandiose thinking. I didn't really have a lot of that, but yeah, that is a symptom that's common. I did find in a book once in my library years ago, something like 10 or 11 or 12 different kinds of schizophrenia. And I can't remember what that book was or what the different kinds were. I was never classified as having paranoid schizophrenia. I never thought the FBI was spying on me through my phone. One thing that I did have a little bit was I felt like when I was watching TV that the people on the screen were very real. They just seemed, it's just like, whoa, that's very real. And years and years later, just sort of in recent years, I thought, well, maybe, Matthew, why is that? When TV was first invented, when I was growing up and TV was, just a little black and white TV screen, we would talk about how is it possible to have someone in your living room? How does this face appear in your living room? It's like magic. It's a very almost surreal quality. Is me seeing the person on TV with schizophrenia seeming so real? Was it just like an exaggeration of that, what everybody sort of feels when they see a face on their screen in their room? It's I don't know. Those are some symptoms. People will often talk about positive and negative symptoms with schizophrenia.
Yeah.
And I don't talk about those a whole lot. One is things that are taken away from you, like motivations taken away from you. That's a negative symptom. A hallucination would be added to you. That's a positive symptom. So that's some common descriptions. For the most part, I mostly talk about how it made me feel. I saw a talk on adrenaline junkies, and they have high levels of dopamine, and they can handle a lot of things going on at the same time. And dopamine is a drug they talk about, or a chemical they talk about a lot with schizophrenia. And I'm no neuroscientist, but I felt like my dopamine was just at rock bottom levels. I could sit in a room I was in a suicide watch room a few times, and I would sit in there, just nothing in it, and I felt like I was just going at light speed through life with just everything, just being bombarded by audio and visual stimuli. Even though I never really saw or heard anything, I just felt like there was a lot of things going on, a lot of danger, and I didn't know how I was able to cope with it. on this adrenaline junkies show, this guy the host was going down the luge. He had a camera and microphone on him. He was talking the whole way, but after a certain point down, he was just, he couldn't talk. He just stopped talking. He just couldn't handle the speed of the luge going downhill. So I sort of felt a bit that way, like whatever chemicals are produced when you go down the luge like that, for a lot of people, that maybe that's just what is produced in me, like an experience of danger and intense environment around you, because that's definitely what it felt like.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you approach it with curiosity.
And by the way, Matthew, there are 25 people in a room in Kenya watching you talk. Hi, guys. And we need to take a real quick break. And when we come back, we want to talk about your organization and how you hook people up with other organizations who then can do the work, and how they can get in touch with you and all of those things. Can we do that when we come back?
Yes.
We'll be right back.
Right on.
Love, war, and freedom collide in the Girl of Many Crowns. Judith of Francia's story will take you from the heart of royal courts to the chaos of Viking invasions. It's a tale of resilience and courage that proves history is not just written by kings, but by women who dared to choose their own path. The Girl of Many Crowns is available now on Amazon Books, Kindle, Amazon Audiobooks, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and Book Baby Bookshop. Don't just read history, experience it. Order your copy today. And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald and Brichelle, and she is right there. And Matthew, I gotta tell you, first of all, you've got so many people listening in Kenya right now that in every culture, it is a universal thing where healthcare and mental health problems are universal to the human condition. And I don't think it particularly matters what culture you're in, that everyone needs access to help. And that's one of the things that you do with mindaid.ca. And tell us a little bit about the organization and how you help people get in touch with the organizations that you work with so that they can get the help that they need.
Yeah, so how I got into that was my worst year of schizophrenia. A lady saw me walking down the street, and she said I looked like I was walking through a world of flying glass. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly how I feel. And my heart went out to people in war-torn areas who have mental illness to go through as well, or any other type of severe problem, extreme poverty. I was, the only sort of real problem I had was schizophrenia. And I was just barely managing that itself. I never had problems with substance abuse, let alone extreme poverty or war. Those people are my heroes. People call me a hero, but I had a lot of things helping me out. And for the millions of people who don't have any mental health care and other problems as well, my hats are off to you. It's incredible. So I don't know why, but I never went looking for many years for content on mental health in developing countries, and I wish I did. But in 2017 or so, a TED Talk came up into my feed one day, and it was by Vikram Patel, and it was about how he, back in the 90s, said, well, look, we have these models of basic physical health care for people. We've had them for decades, guides where there's no hospital for hundreds of miles, how to treat a broken leg or deliver a baby, treat pneumonia, that kind of thing. Why don't we do this for mental health, where there's no doctor or psychiatrist around for hundreds of miles? So they did. And these models of basic mental health care are low cost, proven effective, and scalable. And there are groups helping them. One of the first was Basic Needs. Chris Underhill made that in the year 2000. And there are other groups using them. MindAid has a bunch of them there. You can go and look. I've got a brief bio for each one. You can see which ones you'd like to donate to help out. And I've talked to most of them either like on the phone or email or social media. They know I exist, and I keep finding more as time goes on and adding them to the website. And I don't accept money for donating to the charities myself. I encourage people to go on the charities' websites. You can donate right there. Charities, they often like regular donations instead of one lump sum, because that makes it more random and more chaotic for planning their budget through the year. If you can make a monthly donation, some accept dollar amounts of like $3 a month, as little as that. And if you make it monthly, it's easier on your pocketbook and it helps them balance their budgets for the year too. That's one thing I really encourage people to do. Or if you don't have money, but would like to help out, you can share their posts on social media, share MindAid. You can start a conversation with someone in the grocery store. We can talk about mental health publicly now. And, we've been donating to people in developing countries for decades. We get that. I grew up with sponsoring a child in Africa. We get that. And so many people do. So many people donate to help people who need it. And I know more people would donate for mental health if they simply know these charities existed and where to go. Some world-class people are endorsing these organizations. Bill Clinton, Ashley Judd, Robin Williams' son, Zach Williams. There's Tim Shriver, Allison Janney, the Hollywood actress. And some people, there's a platform called it's called Break the Chains, and they help unchain people with mental illness. Some people with mental illness, they estimate hundreds of thousands in 60 countries, are tied to a tree, tied to a bed. Some of them have their foot through a log with untreated mental illness as well, and probably other problems with poverty and whatnot. Break the Chains. There's a pledge you can sign there. There's groups using that are unchaining people with mental illness. You can go donate and help them reach more people to do that. That's so I sort of stumbled upon that because when I was researching the cause, I found these groups helping, but I found they were scattered across the web. My website, MindAid, is basically at its essence a simple curation site. I've put them all on one site so you don't have to go digging across the web to find them. And it's growing. United for Global Mental Health, they're working on global mental health is a term you'll hear. It means mental health in developed and developing countries, every country. So low and middle income countries, LMICs is another term you'll hear. And there are groups helping. And if more people could let them do their work with a simple click of a button to send them a bit of money, or share a post, I think this could spread like wildfire. If there's ever a time in our history that mental health in developing countries could take off, it's now.
Yeah.
As well it should.
We can talk about it freely. Everywhere you go, you see things about mental health. Whereas, when I made Oh, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to ask. Yeah, you made a statement about somebody tied to a tree, or the other things that were part of their day-to-day existence. Is that because people didn't know how to handle the issues that they were having, and so they kind of is that kind of how it goes in some countries, that they tie them to a tree?
Yeah. There's promotional material on the Break the Chains platform. The link's on my MindAid platform website, and you can read more about that. There's it's very sad, but yeah, they people who they may be acting up, and there's no treatment, no medications, no therapy, and they don't know how to deal with them. There may be cultural, and I'm not an expert in this either. I look at myself as more of a promoter. I'm not an expert in mental health in developing countries, but I look at myself as giving the basics of it. People can learn more than I know, but I just think people would would help if they knew this is actually this is happening.
Well, the important point that I want to make as far as the work that you're doing is that you're creating a clearinghouse of all of these companies and charities that we as citizens here and in Canada and elsewhere can donate to them. But there also is the component of if somebody needs to access help, can they also find that at your website as well, that can kind of guide them to the right charity? Or is that something that you're going to be working on in the future?
Good question. Right now, it's basically just me and a website and social media. I'm not an official charity myself or an official organization of any kind. I've had to keep my life fairly simple just because I do have schizophrenia. I'm not cured. I'm managing my disease. I don't have any symptoms. I'm feeling pretty good, but I'm very conscious of the stress that I take on because I don't want to get sick again from being stressed out too much. So that's how it's gone. And so I'm not a clinical therapist myself. There's a lot more that could be done, that I could do if I had people with me working on it as a team to do just like what you said. If people in Africa were needing help, I could sort of steer them to the right place. There is on my website a list of helplines for I think it's 130 countries or so. So that's a phenomenal resource and a great stepping stone. It's up at the top of the website, I think. So that's
really cool, and even just the phone numbers to those sites or a website address or an email or something that somebody can reach out to them, because the work that they're doing is phenomenal, and they really want to be able to touch more people. And we do that through donations, but also if you need those services and you're in a third world country or another place, it's great that you're a clearinghouse that they can, at least it's a place to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have to ask you too, I'm looking at your website and I noticed that you have a little section that says Mind Aid Concerts. What is that?
My heart goes up what they're going through. Yeah. So when I made the website, the website designer and I were trying to think of a domain name to pick, and I was sort of going with mental health or brain health. And he thought, well, mind is only 4 letters. Why don't we use mind? So then we came up with Mind Aid, and I thought, wait a minute. I wonder if someday that could be like a Band-Aid or a Live Aid concert. That's an idea I had since the beginning. And I have slowly reached out to people in the music industry over the last so many years and made some contacts. And someone this spring said, what about a virtual Mind Aid concert? Because I am conscious of the resources and the gas and everything made for travel to put on a huge concert like that. A virtual concert, interestingly enough, that we've done, some stars have done them, like Justin Bieber, for example, is since the pandemic. These virtual concerts make more money in a 2-hour concert. And the other idea I have is making it, instead of like a one-off Band-Aid or Live Aid concert, making it an annual concert. So that's I'm working on that, and I've got a contact that might be interested in a virtual concert. Just a very initial conversation. Don't know if it will happen with them or not, but that's sort of my biggest idea. You can find more about that on my website. There's a page there for the
And Matthew, are you familiar with the song "We Are the World"?
Yeah. Yes, I am. One of my contacts said he knows some stars, like top pop stars, and he said he could possibly ask them if they'd like to record a song like "We Are the World" or "Do They Know It's Christmas." Some things in my life I go very quickly on. I jump on. Others I seem to take my time with. I find it hard to explain even to myself why I do some things quickly and others not. I've been taking my time with this Mind Aid concert, and I'm also conscious of, if I start this and I'm up on stage, how would I handle that stress? So it's these are sort of the things going through my mind. That's sort of where I am right now. But
you be the brilliant guy behind the scenes, and we'll find somebody to be the MC. But also, just so you know, We Are the World, and with Michael Jackson, it was produced by Quincy Jones, and a bunch of stars are in it. That has generated 63. That one song has generated $63 million for hunger in Africa, and so that over time. So that is a viable approach. And now, with the way the world is, with Zoom and technology, you can do a virtual concert, and you can have all these guys play and virtually, and it would be just as effective as anything else. Or have them create a song, and then a bunch of guys and stars get into it, and to do that. And I think that'd be wonderful. By the way, we're talking with Matthew Dickson. Go to mindaid.ca. We need to take our halftime break. And don't we, Rochelle? Isn't that what we do now?
Yes, it's about time for that. But when we come back, I want to get into kind of the more nitty-gritties of some experiences that you've had that have been super impactful since you started doing this.
Perfect. And we will be right back, everybody.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
Are you looking for your daily dose of inspiration? Stay connected to all your favorite shows, music, and news with the Brushwood Media Network app. From Positive Talk Radio to Greatest Vibes Unplugged and so many more uplifting voices around the world, everything you need is right in one place. It's easy to use, too. Always available and designed to keep you inspired 24 hours a day. Go to brushwoodmedianetwork.com and download the app, and you will always have Brushwood Media available on your smartphone. Download it now and make inspiration and music and conversation part of your everyday. And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald and Rochelle. You know, Rochelle, here's a trivia quiz for you. How many smartphones are there in the world?
I'm guessing probably billions.
To the tune of 9 billion. Now, there are 8 billion people on the planet, so there's duplication in that. But our goal is for every smartphone in the world to have the Brushwood Media Network app on it, so that people can listen to great music and conversation and us and people like Matthew Dickson all the time. And all you got to do is hit a button on your smartphone, and voila, we're right there. So that's our goal.
But that's amazing, and I'm glad that we have that possible now. So I'll get used to having my face out there. But Matthew, when it came to you thinking to yourself, there's so many people that are like me that are struggling and maybe in even worse situations, and this is the one thing I can do to help them. Has there been? Well, let me ask you this. What was your first experience that you had that you were like, wow, this is really exactly how I wanted to be able to help people, and it's really going to work?
So when I got the disease, my dreams were shattered. I'd biked across Canada, a big high to a big low, and I didn't know what the future held in store for me. I didn't know if I'd ever recover. I recently learned that at least 30% of people recover from schizophrenia. They have complete remissions of their symptoms. But I don't know. That doesn't mean they're cured. I mean, maybe some people can go off their medication and be fine. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I didn't really. I was very disabled. And the only sort of real dream I had as far as advocacy work was I thought maybe someday someday I could speak at my high school in growing up. That's about the only sort of dream I had that was sort of floating through my head. And I went off in this journey of trying to save my life and get my health back. So I started reading books on, excuse me here, just a bit of water. I started reading books on how to, sorry.
And while he's taking a drink of water, we will just to say, Rochelle, you're doing well today, yes?
Yes, I'm doing very well. If anything, I feel the same way Matthew does right now. It's so dry, and it's either moisturizing or it's too dry, but it's a beautiful day. And I think it's important to be having these conversations because a lot of people around us that we love are struggling with things that they don't talk about. So go ahead and continue, Matthew.
Yeah, sorry. So okay. I started reading books on how to get myself better. And one of the things was helping other people. There's a TED Talk by Martin Seligman. He says one of the best indicators of long-term life satisfaction is philanthropy, being in service to something larger than yourself. So that's the reason I got into this, partially is to help myself. But the other thing is I can't sit here and not talk about all these tips and tools to help me get better that I know. I mean, when I felt that depth of pain, knowing other people all around me and all around the world are going through the same thing or similar, I can't not share this information. So so that's one part of it. So in 2010, I started reading books on not just how to help get myself better, but how to do advocacy work, how to get on YouTube, how to start a nonprofit, how to network, how to make videos, how to public speak. And I read lots of books on that. That's one thing I could do through my whole recovery, even from day one, was read. And for many, many years, I read, although I didn't take any on that routine when I made my website, MindAid. And even then, I was scared, somewhat scared, to phone a web designer and say, can you make a website for me so that I can advocate for this cause? I felt for so many years low self-esteem, didn't think I could do anything really with my life, and just very scared to do everything. Tying my shoes was scary. Everything was just scary for me. It's like living in a nightmare. When you wake up in the middle of the night from an actual nightmare, it lingers with you while you're awake. That's sort of creepy feeling. That's what my normal everyday life was like. It felt everything was just dark and scary around me. This feeling of just something bad about to happen. So I really had to pace myself. There's a great book by Jeff Hayden called The Motivation Myth. And he says, people think they need this lightning bolt of inspiration where they say, that's what I'm going to do with my life. Their aha moment. But he says, you don't need to have that. You can simply start to take action and confidence will grow. You don't need all this big, huge world leader confidence to do things. The actions will build the confidence. It's the other way around. If you take a small action towards your dream, whatever it is, like starting a B&B or doing anything, getting a new sidewalk built in your community, just take one small action. Have a conversation with somebody about it, a friend, a family member, someone on the street. Just say, look, there's something I'm working on, something I'd like to do. That right there will give you a little bit of confidence. And you keep taking actions towards it. And little by little by little, your confidence will grow over months and years. And I've really found that with this advocacy work. Phoning web designer, I was a little bit scared. The other thing I try to tell people is you don't have to do, when you do these things that are a little bit scary, you don't have to be bungee jumping, skydiving kind of fear. They can be, I just sort of go about 1%, 2%, 3%, maybe 5% tops outside my comfort zone. Just I'm barely sweating, you know. There might be the slightest tremble in my voice, but for the most part, I'm pretty normal. So, you know, I'll make a phone call to someone like, oh my God, inside I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm phoning this person. But it's not like I'm jumping off a cliff or anything or going skydiving. A little bit of fear. So a combination of lots of small steps, consistent steps, and going a little bit outside your comfort zone, like 1 to 5%, that can really take you far. I mean, a lot of the time I'm just doing normal things. I'm not outside my comfort zone. The odd phone call, the odd email, you know, some days are busier than others. I'll work on things for a long time. But you put something out into the world, like my website, and I got on social media slowly. I started with Facebook, got on YouTube, got on LinkedIn, got on Instagram, but those were over, months for each one. I would just start something, and each time I did something, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm here. And by 2 weeks goes by. You're thinking, okay, the world didn't fall, the sky didn't fall on top of me. I'm still here, and it's not that bad. At the same time, I am conscious of, if I do get big as a big public figure, how would I handle that with, death threats and stalkers, that kind of thing. So it's that's
You're
definitely
not that kind of guy that. You're not the kind of guy that's gonna, because you're doing good work in the world. Those people are they're not gonna come at you with death threats and all that kind of stuff, because you're doing it out of kindness, out of love, out of helping other people. And Samuel has another question. I'm not sure we can answer this or not, but mental health is the biggest problem here in the slums of Nairobi, Kenya. What are the ways to improve mental health? How to maintain good mental health, and what are the types of mental health? Samuel, I think that if you go to, and correct me if I'm wrong, Matthew, but if you go to his website, which is mindaid.ca, there's information that you can get there, and there is
there's a resources tab that I think will help find that the best.
I think that's great, and yes, and also, did your organization extend partnerships or networking with community-based organizations in Africa like Kenya? And I don't know that his organization does. Can you correct me if I'm wrong again, Matthew? But I don't know that your organization does. But because of the resources tab and the information that you have on your website that you spend a lot of time and effort to put together, that they can get resources from some of these charities and some of these organizations that can help overseas. Am I correct in that?
Yeah. So Samuel, do you have access to the internet where you are, phones or anything like that? I'll let you answer that. I'll just keep going.
Yeah, they do.
If you do, okay. If on my website, MindAid, there's a helplines for 130 countries or so. There's probably a helpline on that site, the helplines, but that's a great place to start for helpline. And there's a group called CBT Kenya, Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, and they're another one that I know are in Kenya. There's some others. There's also on the United, the link's actually on my website too, in the things you can do to help in the donate and fundraise section. There's a link there for, it's under the global United for Global. They have all people working on, like, experts and advocates and nonprofits. It's a group for them to connect and talk to each other, working all over the world in developing countries. And there could be more. I wish I could spend more time in that group, finding more groups, because I've spent a bit of time in there, and I keep finding new groups being formed. There may be others. Strong Minds is the groups that I've found. Strong Minds has had the most impact. They've helped many. They focus on women with depression in Africa, and they don't use medications. They use models of it's group-based talk therapy. They get women in groups of 8 or 10 or so, and they meet, I think, weekly. And after 6 months, 80% of the women are depression-free. And it's and the women can teach. They keep spreading and reaching more people using this model. It's I don't know if they could come to Kenya. I don't know if they're in Kenya yet. They've started in another 2 or 3 countries right now. But the other thing is that on my website, MindAid, I've got a list there. It's a yellow button up near the top called Mental Health Tips. I've read a ton of books just to get myself better, And I share some of those links. I don't know if you have access to a library that could send you books. I don't know what kind of access you have to that, but that's a place to start if you do. Well, there's a music program that I've been listening to for many years, Dr. Daniel Amen's Brain Warriors Way music program. It's a song that's it's on Amazon, iTunes, Spotify. You can listen to those on your phone. It uses brainwaves, alpha, delta, theta brainwaves to recalibrate your brain just for general brain health. He's a huge brain. General thought patterns too. There's verbal judo. That's what police officers use around the world to deal with people with words, not weapons. That's helped me immensely in dealing with people. Psychologists will say one of the biggest problems people have is the other people in their life giving them issues. And verbal judo has helped me a lot in just dealing with people. I've written a short article on it, and basically it's finding out where people are. You have to be able to read body language and have emotional intelligence. When you find out where they are, you talk from them from their frame of reference, not yours. So often I just walk into a room and blurt out what I was having to say, not paying attention to where everybody was. Are they thinking about me right now? Do they need a hug? Are they angry? Are they upset? Everybody's sort of in a different place when you talk to them, and staying calm. So often we will rise to match somebody's upsetness or aggression, arguing or can stay calm. He says in verbal judo, a lot of people have no one to listen to them. Verbal abuse is rampant in society. And if we can stay calm and simply let other people get things off their chest, the vast majority of police calls, he says, are just letting people vent, and you don't have to use a weapon or anything. That list I've made is, I've taken 20 plus years to make that list. And there's like one guy, the book is called Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It. And basically, to sum it up for you, if you can't read it, if you don't have access, he said he was in a very dark place, and he simply started saying to himself every single day, hundreds of times, I love myself. I love me. I love me. He said it hundreds of times every day. And slowly his life started to change around. He started believing in himself more. It's things like that that we can do for ourselves where we don't need, a therapist, or if you don't have access to a therapist, or we don't, and there's lots of different thought patterns we can have, thinking that we're not taught. I was not taught a lot of this in school growing up, better ways to think. And and I mean, for me with schizophrenia, I knew about verbal judo and lots of these other things years and years and years ago. So I still hadn't improved well enough, like where I am now, where I'm feeling pretty good. But simply knowing these is a huge factor in simply just because a lot of confusion is caused around simply not knowing what's going on in the situation. Why is this person saying that? Why am I feeling this way right now? What's going on? And if you can understand and sort of use your intuition more in understanding what's going on in the situation, that's a big part of it. That's what they talk about in another favorite book of mine, The Survivor Personality by Al Siebert. It's on Amazon. You might be able to find it to read. You might be able to find books free online somehow, or summarize books. You might be able to ask ChatGPT to summarize a book. So the Survivor Personality, he studied people for decades, how they got through the Holocaust, natural disasters, cancer, alcoholism, all sorts of things, and how they thrived on the other side. Another thing I did for my disease, although no one ever told me about it specifically, that I could use it specifically for schizophrenia, is post-traumatic growth. There's a book in it called What Doesn't Kill Us by Stephen Joseph. And he said, there's a downward spiral, negative kind of rumination, like my life is awful, I can't get through this. 20 years later, you're still suffering. But there's another kind of rumination, a thinking process, where it's positive, it's constructive. It's like, let's try to figure this out. And that's what I found I really wanted to do from the very beginning of my recovery. And I would spend time just thinking, ruminating. Even the doctor said, don't ruminate, you need to keep active. I was doing it anyway because it made me feel better. I was trying to, as I was sitting there thinking, I said things, addicts will use drugs so that they don't have to feel these really bad emotions. The substances can cover them up in a negative way, but they still use them. And a lot of it was just me not being able to feel. So as I sat there 20 minutes or an hour or more sometimes, I would sort of let myself feel. I could feel myself sort of getting into these emotions more and more, little by little. This is glacially slow recovery for me, but I kept doing it. And I don't know if it's a chicken and egg kind of thing, if it was a medication allowing me to feel this way, or if it was me forcing myself to sort of push further into it. I don't know which was which. All I know is I had a very strong desire to do that, to sit there and think. And that's what they say, is that they do it in the book, What Doesn't Kill Us, about post-traumatic growth. He says it's called reflective rumination. And I discovered that years after I was already doing it. That's something people can do with I didn't have a therapist helping me with that.
Matthew, do you have on your website, do you have a page for all these books that you recommend? Are those on your website?
Yeah, that's on the mental health tips yellow button near the top of the site. It's mindaid.ca/mental-health-tips.
Good. So see, now you can also get hooked up with Amazon, and if people buy the books from your website because you recommend them, then Amazon will give you a little bit of a kickback. That might be another way to generate a little bit of income for you.
Oh, like affiliate. Yeah.
Become an affiliate. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that would be great. Rochelle, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm still here. Just have to adjust. My back is killing me, but I will be on camera in just a moment, and I am fully here.
Take your time. If your back is, we gotta fix your back. I don't know what it's gonna take, but we're gonna have to figure that part out. Mindaid.ca is the website that we want you to go to. And Matthew, I think it's great that you are doing all of this, and that's how great things happen, one thing at a time, one moment at a time, one interview at a time, in my world, one thing at a time. So it's not like, and nobody, trust me, nobody becomes a overnight sensation and makes all these wonderful things happen overnight. It just doesn't happen. Even great rock bands like the Beatles, they spent 10 years learning how to do their trade before they became suddenly famous and stuff. So you're doing great work. Just keep doing what you're doing and keep helping people. That's the main thing, don't you think?
Thank you. There's a suicide prevention advocate. Her name's Emma Benoit. She's in the States. There's a film made about her by Greg DeCherry called My Ascension. She's had hard times and recovered and is helping other people with suicide prevention. And she was interviewed on Dr. Phil. And she said to Dr. Phil on the interview, she said, "You don't know how incredibly validating this all is." And I've done a number of interviews over the years, and I just want to tell you that this has been very validating for me. You've really made me feel like a rock star. So thank you very much for that. I'm over the moon about that.
Matthew, I hate to bring it to your attention, but you are a rock star, dude. You're doing something that is so needed, and you looked at a concept that needed to be done, and then you did it. Congratulations. That's a big deal.
Thank you.
And you have done, and by the way, we're gonna have to wrap this up because you've got to go and you've got another appointment coming up and stuff. So you've got only you've got 7 minutes to do what you've got to do. So is there anything else you'd like to add before you go, and then we'll wrap up this interview?
I just want to tell people, if you're struggling with mental illness or other difficult things in life, always stay hopeful. There's a book by Catherine Goetz called The Biggest Little Book of Hope. She says hope is a learnable skill. You can learn how to have more hope in your life. And there were so many times that I didn't know how I was going to make it through the next few minutes. I didn't know what was going to happen. And I just encourage people to keep hanging in there, and because you never know what tomorrow may bring. To always stay hopeful. You never know what's going to happen. There are so many things that happen every day around the world. Look at the last 20 years with brain health. So much has improved. We just never know what's going to happen. And it's also, I just really encourage you to keep going. Mental illness never really you. It makes you do it to yourself. So that's a bonus, because it's not like cancer where it will take you no matter what you do. It's just try to keep hanging in there through that pain. There's a suicide prevention advocate. His name's Kevin Hines. He took his life, and it's Kevin Briggs. He's a motorcycle highway patrolman on the Golden Gate Bridge. He says it's well documented that many people who attempt suicide instantly regret it. People who survive, They say that. I instantly regret. Kevin Hines said he jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge, and he said his brain chemistry. I want to die to I want to live. I want to see my family. I want to see my friends. There's things I want to do with my life. In an instant, his brain chemistry changed. And when you're in dark places, think about that. Is it your brain just telling you things? Is there a way to override that somehow and just keep being there and not doing anything drastic, like trying to take your life? It's I call it hope beyond hope. When you've lost all hope, there's other things. The saying, the universe has your back. There's other things keeping you here that will keep you here. There's hope. There's always hope.
And if you are in the United States, there is a phone number I want you to call. If you feel hopeless today and you're all alone, 988 is a national hotline. And I'm hoping they still have it staffed, even though our government shut down at the moment. That's a whole different thing. But 988, and that will help you get the help you need. Matthew Dickson, thank you so much for being here. And Brachelle's back. Anything that you'd like to add before we leave, Brachelle?
Actually, yes. After visiting his website, which again is mindaid.ca, go visit that, and you can find all the resources, the donate links, everywhere that you can find Mind Aid. But when I clicked on the helpline for 130 countries, that website is findahelpline.com. Just to add on to what Kevin said, there is also that, and that is in 130 countries that is available for you. And again, Matthew, thank you so much for your time and your courage and the work you're doing. We are fully supportive here with you in Positive Talk Radio, all the way from Kenya and all over the place. So keep doing it, and we'll be here right next to you to grow.
And have a great day, everybody. And
so
Matthew, you got 4 minutes. You got to go. So thank you so much. Thank you for being part of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where stories inspire and voices remind us of what truly matters. May today's conversation give you hope, courage, and a reason to keep moving forward. And just remember, till next time, be kind to one another, because each other's all we've got.